Hi, in this video I'm gonna finish the building construction so we could finally move up to unit training. So to start, let's go to the server project, and here in the instant build async, let me expand this. So instead of updating building level, I'm just gonna set the construction time. Let me copy it from there. I'm gonna paste it here, and this construction time equals to now. So that's a better way to do it. Let's collapse this. So now I need to limit the number of buildings and the level of the buildings based on the town hall level. I actually created a script. Let's open that. Here is my desktop. I'm gonna put this script in the description of the video so you could access it. So basically I've created two classes. One of them is building availability. It takes a level, that is the town hall level, and this is the buildings which are available to build at this town hall level. So I've created a variable, and it's an array, and it contains all the buildings with their global ID and maximum amount per town hall level, this count, and also the maximum level based on that specific town hall level. That's a lot of lines, so it's hard to write it down. It took me a while, so I'm just gonna put the script in the description so you could just copy and paste it like I'm about to do. So I'm gonna open my data script in the server. So let's paste it here. I'm gonna open some space for it, and let's go back to this building limits script. So I'm just gonna get down here. Here it is. I'm gonna copy from here, and let's go up. And this is it. I'm gonna copy that, and I'm gonna paste it in my data. So now I have this variable in my data class. So let's get up here, and yes, here we go. I'm gonna just close that, and let's go to the client, and here in the scripts in the data I'm going to open this up and paste it here as well. So let me open some space here, and I'm just gonna paste it. So here we go. Now we have the array on both client and the server. Now simply I can create a function. So let's say public static building count. I'm gonna name it get building limits, and it's gonna take an integer as town hall level. And it's also gonna take a string as global ID. So at the end I'm just gonna return null, and here I'm gonna say 4, and I'm gonna loop through the building availability. So this is the building availability. It's a array, and the index of that array is going to be town hall level. So if you take a look, this is the index 0 of the building availability. So no building is available at level 0 town hall. At the index 1, these buildings are available to build. For example, a gold mine, you can have 1 gold mine, and the maximum level is 2 for the gold mine. The same thing for other levels. So whenever we say building availability town hall level, that's the index, and we're gonna say loop through the buildings, and we're gonna check to see if, let me just copy this, and buildings i.id equals to this global ID. In that case, we're just gonna return the building availabilities town hall level and buildings I. So I'm gonna copy this, and let's bring it for our client project as well. Let me just paste it here in the data class. We could also create another function, and we're gonna fill this later, but for now let's just create a copy of this, and I'm just gonna paste it here. This is gonna be get town hall limits, And here we're gonna say target town hall level, and we're just gonna pass only that, and let's just return null by default. And I'm just gonna copy this and bring it to my server project as well. Now let's go to the database, and here in the place building async, let's open this up. So when we are trying to insert a building, we are checking a bunch of different conditions. So let's get down here. Before we spend any resources, just gonna say if building.id equals to town hall, do something, otherwise do something else. And here I'm just gonna create a boolean, say limited, or any name you wanna choose for it. Let's say equals to false, and here I'm gonna check if it is limited, then do something, otherwise do something else. So let's get down here. So if it is limited, we're just gonna send a response equals to 6. Otherwise, let's just cut everything in here and paste it inside this else. And that should take care of that. Let's get up here. So if it's town hall, we're gonna handle that later, but for now we're just gonna say data that building count equals to data.get building limits, and of course we need a town hall level. So let's say data.building, it's gonna be town hall equals to get building. So do we have a function for it? Well, let's go to the get building async and create something similar. Let's see, here it is, get building async. So let's expand this. Yes, I'm just gonna create a copy of this function and paste it right here. So that's gonna be our get building, and I'm gonna remove the async part. So in this case, I'm just gonna cut all of that and remove this task and paste it here. And the return type is not gonna be of type task. Let me just remove that. And it's not gonna be async. So this is just a normal function. And inside this get building async, I'm just gonna clear all of that and say building equals to get building, and I'm gonna pass ID and account. But this is not exactly going to help us, so let me just get another copy of these two functions and paste them here. So I'm just gonna collapse those. This is gonna be get buildings by global ID. Let me just copy the name and paste it here. The same thing here. So instead of this ID, I'm just gonna pass in a string. That's gonna be global ID. Let me copy that. It's gonna be a string. And the same thing here, it's gonna be a global ID, and it's gonna return a list of buildings. So the same thing here, let me actually copy that. It's gonna be a list of buildings. The same thing here, this is gonna be a list of buildings equals to new list of buildings, and this is gonna return buildings, and the buildings equals to that. Let's get down here. So let's say a list of buildings. This is also a list equals to new list. So let's get down. I'm gonna return buildings, and here I'm gonna say select that and that from buildings where global ID equals to global ID and account ID equals to that. So we're gonna say data.building equals to new building, and let me cut that inside the while loop, and at the end I'm gonna say buildings.add building. So it got a little bit complicated, so we could get other parameters of the building, but for now we just need the level. If we need anything else, we're gonna add it here, but let's go up there, and I'm gonna say get buildings by global ID, and the global ID is gonna be town hall, and of course the account ID which we have. But this is going to return a list for us. Then we're gonna get the index 0 of that list, which is our town hall. Now here for our building limits, we're gonna say town hall dot level, and we need a global ID which is going to be our building dot ID. So it's gonna bring the limit for us, and then we're gonna create an integer have count equals to get building count. So we're gonna say account ID and building dot ID, and of course the connection we're gonna pass this. And for this one we also need to pass a connection. Let's go and see what we did here. Now we don't need a connection for that, but for the town hall I think we do need a connection. Let's go and check this out. Yes, instead of doing it like this, we're also going to pass a MySQL connection. That is going to be our connection, and we're gonna pass that connection from there. So let's get down here. I'm just gonna cut all of that, and we don't need this using connection part. I'm just gonna paste it instead of that. So let's check the other function to see if we made the same mistake for that as well or not. Yes, we did a mistake here as well. This also going to take a MySQL connection. It's going to be connection, and I am just going to cut that and paste it instead of this, and this is going to pass a connection. So that is that. Let's go back up there, and here I'm just gonna pass the connection. So now we have the buildings count, and we say if have count is greater or equal than count. Well, actually let's name that limit greater or equal than limits dot count. In that case we're gonna say limited equals to true. And let's go to the client and handle that as well here in the player. Inside the insert, here it is, build. I'm gonna add another case, and it's gonna be case number 6, and it's gonna say maximum limit reached. So let's go back to the server. Now we need to do the same thing for the upgrade part. So let's check this out. We are creating this and this. Let me just copy that, and let's go to the upgrade building async. Here, before spending the resources, I'm just gonna paste it here and add a else to our limited, and here I'm just gonna cut all of that inside my else. So that's it. Let's go up here. So we don't have a building.id, instead we just have a string called global ID. We could just use that. So let's say global ID, and this is also going to be global ID. The same thing here. Now we are setting the limited to true whenever the number of buildings that we have is greater or equal than the numbers that has been limited based on the town hall level. But we also need to make sure the level is limited or not. So here we are setting the is constructing to 1, which means after a certain time is passed, it's gonna add 1 unit to the level. So let's see if we have a reference to the level. Yes, we are passing the level. So let's get down here and add another condition. We're gonna say and level is less than limits dot max level. Well, actually it's gonna be greater or equal than. In that case we can't upgrade it because the maximum level for this town hall is reached. But that's also going to limit the building construction. So let me collapse that and let's play the server and check out the result. Also let's go and start the client. Here let's try to place a elixir mine. So we received an error. Let me stop this, stop the server as well. Get buildings by global ID. It's gonna say select level and global ID from buildings where global ID equals to, well, let's add this signs because it's an string. So that's gonna take care of our problem. Let me play this one more time. And let's go play the client. And now let's try to place an elixir mine here. As you can see, maximum limit reached. So let's go and stop the client, go to the buildings. I'm gonna delete all the elixir mines. That's one of them, that's another, and that's the final one. Now I don't have any elixir mines. Let me play this. Okay, now I can place only, let's see, in the data. Let's actually check our town hall level. Our town hall is at level 2, which means, let's check this out, level 2. Elixir mine, we can have 2 elixir mines and we can upgrade each of them to maximum level 4. So let's see if we can place only 2 elixir mines or not. That's the first one. Yes, placed. And let's place another one. Here we go. And let's place a third one. Well, we don't have any builders. I'm gonna give myself some gems. Here we go. Let's add a 0 to it. And let's go add a builder. Builder's hut. That's that. And place another elixir mine. Okay, as you can see, maximum limit is reached. We can only place 2 elixir mines for our town hall level 2. If we want to place more elixir mines, let's see. Here it is, the elixir mine 3. If we want to add 1 more elixir mines, then we need to upgrade our town hall to level 3 first. Then we can place another elixir mine. So this is the limits. I actually did a lot of research to gather all this information, and it is accurate, so you can use that. And stop this, and also let me stop the server. Let's make a few changes here in the buildings. Well, actually here in the server buildings. I'm gonna go and find my town hall, and I'm gonna change the columns count to 4. The same thing for my rows count, 4. And for the same thing for the level 2 of town hall, it's gonna be 4. And here it's gonna be 4. And I'm gonna insert another building. Well, let's see what kind of buildings we have. Here it is. We have army camp. I'm just gonna insert an army camp. That's gonna be the ID for it. It is going to level 1, require, let's say, elixir for now 100. I'm gonna fix these values later, but for now let's just use that. And columns count is gonna be 3, rows count is 3. So the build time, let's say 100, gained XP 20 or anything. And for now this is good enough. Let's hit go and create it. Now we have an army camp level 1. We can build that, and we need also create barracks. So let's create the barracks as well here in our database. I'm gonna paste the ID for it. Level 1, let's say 100 elixirs, and the count for this one is going to be 3 and 3. And here we have a bunch of other variables. Let's say build time 100, anything there, and let's hit go. And let's actually change the army camp size to 4. This army camp here, let's change the size to 4 and 4. And now let's go to the client and create these buildings here as well. I'm gonna go to the prefab buildings. First of all, let's fix the town hall. I'm just gonna bring it here, and the base is going to be 4 and 4. So that's our town hall. So let me just apply the changes, and let's just delete that. Well, let's create the barracks first. For that, I'm just gonna use elixir mine, name this barracks, and of course we're going to go to our data and let's find the building ID. I'm gonna add the army camp and barracks. Let's just copy the names from database here. The first one is gonna be army camp, and the other one is gonna be barracks. So now we have the ID for those buildings. Let me save this. Now I'm gonna change the type to barracks, and we could change the look. Let's go to the materials, and I'm gonna duplicate this pink color by holding the Control and D key in the Windows. I'm just gonna name this, let's say red, and let's make this red, and I'm gonna change the capsule color to red. So this is gonna be our barracks, and let's go to the buildings and make a prefab out of this, and let's delete that. I'm gonna bring the town hall, because it's a 4 and 4, the size of it. I'm gonna use this for army camp. Well, let's change this to 4 at 4, and also change the town hall to 4 at 4. So the army camp, I'm gonna change it to army camp, the ID of it, and also let's make the sphere here red. Let me just remove the collider and the materials. I'm gonna bring red. Well, actually, we only need a small campfire in the middle of the army camp. So let me disable that and this. And let me scale this down to something like that. Let's say that's the campfire. I know I'm not very good with the designing and stuff like that, so let's make it red. So that's our army camp, and let's make a prefab out of this as well here in the buildings. That is our army camp, and I'm just gonna delete that. So finally in the main, we need to add the army camp and the barracks to our building prefabs, and of course in the shop we could add the buttons to place those buildings. So let's expand this, and here I'm just gonna duplicate that one. It is going to be barracks, so the type is going to be barracks, and the name is going to be barracks. And the same thing, let's duplicate this. It's gonna be army camp. So let's make this army camp and change the name of the button. So that's it. Let me hide this elements, and I'm gonna save my scene. Now if I go to my server and play the game. Let's see if we can place an army camp or a barracks. Here in the shop, I'm gonna place a barracks. Let's place it here. Okay, we have that, and here is our town hall. It's 4 in 4 now, so that's that. And also let's place another barracks because, well, we can't do that. I'm just gonna checking this out here. Maximum limit is reached. Let's place an army camp. Well, that is our army camp. And here we go. Well, let's actually instant build both of them. Now we are having the info and upgrade buttons for both of them. Well, actually we need to add a train button for both of them, so let's go and do that. Here in the canvas, let's find options. Well, here we go. I'm just gonna add another button. Let me duplicate this. This is gonna be button train. So let's see, here it is, train. And here we go. Let's go to the UI building options. I'm just gonna create a reference for the terrain panel and a button panel. Well, actually train button. And here let's see, well, the info panel, well, let's actually just remove that because we want to have our info panel visible always. So let's just say true. It doesn't matter if we're constructing or not, we want to see the info button. And here we're gonna add another option. Let me copy that and paste it here. And this is going to be our terrain panel. And the terrain panel is going to be active whenever our selected instance data.id equals to either army camp or, well, let me just copy all of that, paste it here. So, or barracks. So if it is barracks or army camp, the terrain button is gonna be showed up. And now let's go to the UI and assign the values for our terrain panel and terrain button. So I'm just gonna hide that. Let's save this and play the game. Here we go. I'm gonna click this. We have info, upgrade, and train. And for other buildings, we do not have the train option because it's only available for army camp and barracks. And let me stop this here in the server. Let's double check something. In the upgrade building async, we are returning the response 5, response 6 for our limit reached. Well, let me go to the client here in the player. I'm just gonna copy the case number 6 and paste it for our upgrade. Here it is. And I'm just gonna paste it here. So that's it. Well, now finally most of the building construction mechanics has been finished and we can finally move to the unit training. In the next video I'm gonna start doing that, so until then don't forget to like and subscribe. Have fun and thanks for watching.